So I just rewatched The Matrix, and I'm, like, obsessed all over again.
You and everyone else, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those films that just sticks with you.
Totally. But this time, I was really struck by how relevant all those Gnostic ideas still feel. Like, are we really just plugged into some system completely oblivious to a deeper reality?
Oh, I see where you're going with this. That's a question that's been swirling around for centuries, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
The Matrix just nails that Gnostic anxiety.
Exactly. So get ready, because today we're diving headfirst into Gnosticism at the movies. We're going to unpack how films like The Matrix, Dark City, even The Truman Show take those ancient ideas and make them feel, well, shockingly relevant to our lives right now.
And it's a wild ride, this whole connection. Because these films, they aren't just borrowing from Gnosticism, they're adding a whole modern spin.
That's what's so fascinating to me. We're not just spotting Gnostic themes. We're talking about how filmmakers take those ancient concepts and make them feel incredibly relevant today. And our guide for this deep dive is an article called Neo-Gnosticism at the Movies.
It's a fantastic source. It really gets into the nitty-gritty of this connection between ancient beliefs and modern storytelling.
Right. Okay. So for anyone who needs a quick refresher, Gnosticism, in a nutshell, is this collection of beliefs that popped up alongside early Christianity, right? And they believed our world. Yeah, this world is like a pale imitation, a bad copy of a truer, way higher reality.
A truer reality that we've lost touch with, hidden behind this flawed existence.
Exactly. And this messed up world. Ruled by, well, let's call him the assistant regional manager of God's the Demiurge. Not the big guy himself, but definitely someone who thinks they're in charge.
And the way to access that truer reality, to escape the Demiurge's control, is through gnosis, a kind of liberating knowledge.
Right, like Neo taking the red pill. Which, now that you mention it, sounds a lot like the setup for a blockbuster film, don't you think? Flawed world, hidden truth, a way to tap into it.
You're onto something. But here's where it gets really interesting. You see, ancient Gnostics, they weren't about conquering the flawed world. It was more about escaping it, transcending it through spiritual enlightenment.
Okay, so how do we get from escaping the world to Neo stopping bullets? Because that doesn't seem very ancient Gnostic to me.
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to understand that shift, we need to rewind a bit, travel back in time to 1945. Imagine a group of scholars stumbles upon a treasure trove of ancient texts hidden away in Egypt.
Hold on. Are you talking about the Nag Hammadi Library? I've heard about this.
The one and only. And this discovery was huge because it offered this new window into alternative Christian thought. Suddenly, all these Gnostic beliefs that had been suppressed, forgotten.
Yeah.
They were back in play.
And talk about perfect timing, right? Fast forward to the 1960s, counterculture, questioning authority, searching for meaning. I bet those ancient Gnostic ideas were like a siren song.
Absolutely. It's all about context. Suddenly, those ideas about a flawed world, hidden knowledge, individual awakening, they resonated deeply with a whole generation. And that's how this ancient, almost forgotten set of beliefs starts to influence everything from art and literature to philosophy and spirituality.
It's like Gnosticism went from 0 to 60 in the cultural fast lane. But there's another twist coming, right? Because we haven't quite gotten to The Matrix yet.
Exactly. Because by the time we get to the 90s, when films like The Matrix hit the scene, something has shifted. It's not just about escaping the flawed world anymore. It's about challenging it, reshaping it, maybe even conquering it.
Okay, so we've got this evolution of Gnostic thought, right? Ancient texts hidden away, then boom, cultural phenomenon, and now it's hitting the big screen. But how does that actually play out in these movies? Let's get specific. Let's talk The Matrix.
Oh, The Matrix is a masterclass in Gnostic filmmaking. You're thrown right into that classic dilemma. Neo living in this seemingly ordinary world, totally unaware he's actually plugged into a vast simulation controlled by, you guessed it, machines.
Classic Gnostic setup, right? The flawed reality masking this hidden truth, and that whole red pill, blue pill choice. It's almost too perfect, like literally choosing gnosis or ignorance.
Right. You can't talk about The Matrix and Gnosticism without mentioning that scene. The red pill is that knowledge, the awareness, even if it's painful. And Neo, he doesn't just accept the truth passively, he's grabbing it. He wants to see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Which I think is a key difference from what we were talking about with ancient Gnosticism. It's not about escaping the world anymore. I mean, Neo doesn't escape the Matrix. He learns to manipulate it, bend the rules. He becomes this, like, Gnostic superhero.
Exactly. And that theme of empowerment, of humanity's potential to transcend even a flawed system, it's in Dark City too. Think about John Murdoch at the mercy of these beings who are literally manipulating reality around him.
And as he uncovers the truth, he develops these incredible powers, right?
Right. He doesn't just escape. He starts to fight back, to reshape things.
You know what I love about Dark City? It's like reality itself is malleable. It's not fixed. And Murdoch, he doesn't just fight the system, he rewrites it, which it actually kind of reminds me of how in those ancient Gnostic texts, the demiurge, he wasn't always seen as this all-powerful being, more like kind of incompetent, you know what I mean? Like he messed up the creation a bit.
Oh, interesting parallel.
Yeah.
I like that. And then you have a film like The Truman Show, which takes a completely different approach.
Yeah.
Truman's world, again, a meticulously crafted illusion, but his awakening. It's not some external source, no divine messenger or red pill.
It's all him, right? Just noticing the cracks in his reality, like that spotlight falling from the sky.
Exactly. He's piecing it together himself, trusting his own observations. And that self-reliance, that ability to break free from the illusion through your own insight, that's such a modern, humanistic take on gnosis, isn't it?
It's like, trust your gut. Question what you see. You have the power to figure things out. You have the power to escape. Okay, so we've gone from like ancient scrolls hidden in a cave to mind-bending movies. What's the through line here? Why do these ideas, even the ones from centuries ago, still feel so relevant today?
It's a great question, and it's something our source digs into with this concept of metaphysical religion. Basically, it's like a modern echo of those ancient Gnostic impulses we've been talking about.
Okay, metaphysical religion. Break that down for me. What's that look like in our world? Yoga studios, essential oils.
Well, it's a bit broader than that, but you're not entirely off track. Essentially, it's any belief system that puts a lot of emphasis on the power of the mind. The idea that we can tap into a hidden or higher reality using, well, our minds.
Okay, so like, are you saying that believing you can manifest your dream life by, I don't know, making a vision board is like modern day Gnosticism?
In a way, yeah. It's about that potential, that power that supposedly resides within us to influence the world around us. It shares that Gnostic focus on inner knowledge, on unlocking hidden potential, just maybe with less talk of demiurges.
So instead of like looking to traditional authorities, religions, governments, whatever, for answers, it's about trusting your own intuition. Like my gut feeling is my own personal Gnostic gospel.
It's not a bad way to put it. It's about that direct connection to something bigger, something maybe even spiritual. And you see this desire to see beyond the surface, to find those hidden meanings and connections pop up everywhere in our culture.
Oh, totally. Conspiracy theories are like the obvious example. Everyone's looking for the hidden truth, the real story.
Exactly. And documentaries that promise to blow the lid off everything expose the truth. It speaks to this deep-seated skepticism, this yearning to figure out what's really going on behind the scenes.
And, I mean, you can't forget about technology and how that plays into all of this, right? The lines between what's real and what's simulated are blurring more and more every day. Virtual reality, augmented reality, the metaverse. It's like we're building our own matrix one app at a time.
It's true. And as technology keeps evolving, that Gnostic question, are we living in a simulation? It becomes less of a philosophical thought experiment and more like, well, a genuine possibility. It makes you really grapple with what it means to be human in a world where reality itself can be manipulated.
Okay, so with all this talk about hidden knowledge, questioning reality, are we basically saying go full conspiracy theorist, embrace the Gnostic life, question everything, trust no one?
Well, hold on a second. While it's definitely important to be curious, to think critically, our source also warns against getting too caught up in what it calls magical superhero thinking. Meaning, just because Neo can bend the rules of the Matrix doesn't mean we can all magically fix our problems just by, I don't know, meditating really hard or tapping into some cosmic power.
So, no shortcuts to enlightenment, no matter how many self-help books I read.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance. Stay open to new ideas, question what you think you know, but also stay grounded. Real change, it's complex. It usually takes more than just positive thinking.
So where does that leave us then? What's the takeaway for our listeners who just joined us on this deep dive into, well, the Matrix and Gnosticism and everything in between?
I think the key thing to remember is that these Gnostic impulses, these desires to search for a deeper meaning, a hidden truth, it's part of what makes us human. We're curious beings. We want to explore, question, find meaning beyond the surface.
We want to take that red pill, even if it means facing a truth that might make us uncomfortable. And hey, sometimes that uncomfortable truth, it leads to a much deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So, to everyone listening, Keep asking those big questions. Stay curious. Keep searching for those new perspectives. And you never know what amazing discoveries you might make along the way.
Love that. Huge thanks to our expert for guiding us through this awesome deep dive. And to all our listeners, thanks for coming along for the ride. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of Gnosticism and film. And hey, if you come across any other movies with some hidden Gnostic messages, send them our way. Until next time, keep exploring those rabbit holes.